Hello everyone, Fanta here. You are watching FANTAVISION, and today is sort of another Tales from Retail, because really what we're talking about today is the entire landscape of retail as we know it. Why? Because recently Microsoft has shut down all of their retail locations except for 4. So before we dive in to the main topic, real quick, of course, leave a like if you like the video, all that stuff. And I gotta tell you what I'm drinking, because that's what my intro is. That's what we do here, because beer is delicious and it just became a thing. This is Stone Fear Movie Lions, which is FML, which I feel like fits with 2020, right? FML. It's a double IPA, unfiltered double IPA, which is why it looks like this and it's not super clear. And it's 8.5%. So this bad boy is going to get me buzzed in the middle of the video. It's going to be great. Also, I've had people requesting that I do the channel membership thing. I mean, I've been having people basically tell me since the beginning that thing existed, that I should do it. But I never did it because I didn't stream a whole lot on here, so I thought it would be kind of pointless. It'd just be people with icons in the comment section, that's it. But I'm streaming a lot more, so I did open the channel memberships. If you want to join that, you can join that down below. I'm not going to pitch that every time, I promise. So let's dive into exactly what is going on before we get into speculation as to what it means for retail future, because Forbes has an interesting take that I don't quite agree with, but we'll get into that in just a second. So, they closed all of their stores except for 4, and those 4 retail stores are going to be converted into experience centers. Now, they haven't quite said what a customer experience center is going to be, but I'm assuming it's basically just going to be a showcase of different products and things like that. But that's kind of what a store is. I mean, I don't quite know the difference, so it'll be really interesting to see exactly what they're going to do with these 4 stores. I think it's like in London, Washington, New York. I don't know why I started listing these, because I think one's in Washington. Did I say Washington already? I think I said Washington already. There's probably one in California. I don't know. I guess it kind of makes sense though that they're closing all the locations, because I have never set foot in a Microsoft store, and I don't know anybody who has. And the thing about Microsoft is, unlike Apple, because a lot of Apple people are going to be like, aha, Apple wins. Not quite true, because Apple sells the Apple TV. They have a phone. They have full-on computers that they make, whereas Microsoft just has the Surface. They have the iMac. I don't know if the iMac Air is still a thing. They have an iPad. I think they still have iPod Touches. They have a lot of different products that, are sold and made by Apple, whereas Microsoft does not. They have the Surface and the Xbox. If you go to the Microsoft website, every single other PC that you look at there is sold by Dell, HP, and so forth. So because their operating system is put out by all these other different companies, they have no reason to make their own computer. They just don't have to. They're a mostly digital distributor, and they make Microsoft Word, the operating system, like I said. They have all these different things that are doing that are mostly digital, besides, of course, Xbox. But there's going to be an Xbox Digital Edition, so that's also going to be digital. And Xbox can be sold anywhere. You don't need Microsoft retail stores. GameStop, Target, Walmart, Amazon, all these different places can sell these consoles, and you don't have to have that physical location that is just draining your money for no reason. Again, it makes sense for Apple products to have an Apple store, because that's a great way to sell people on a very expensive piece of technology. It's also a place where people get repairs, they get into contracts where they can upgrade their phones all the time, they can go in and make appointments. But you don't need to do that with Microsoft, because there's so many other companies that have been delegated to doing that. You could argue it would be great to have a Microsoft store in case an Xbox Red Ring of Death thing happened again, but overall, it doesn't make sense for them to have retail locations. Also, just quick numbers thing, since I'm wearing the tie, it's like half Financial Fanta, half just me normally talking about retail news. Supposedly, because of this, it's going to devalue the company by $450 million. I think the only reason they're saying that is just because the locations themselves. I guess it might just be real estate, or just kind of a potential value that they've lost. I don't really see it as a big loss closing all these stores down. I've heard of people talk about Microsoft stores and how there's nobody ever in them. And during this pandemic, coronavirus, I can actually say it. I don't have to say vague crap because YouTube isn't taking down people anymore. Or is it? They've been closed since the beginning of this pandemic, so they're just bleeding money. Now, people like me are like, holy shit, what is going to happen to all those retail employees? Now, Microsoft is trying to spit it in a way like, oh, don't worry, they're working from home, they're working remotely, we're planning on keeping them around. However, this quote worries me a little bit. The retail team members will serve consumers, small business, education, and enterprise customers while building a pipeline of talent with transferable skills. That quote makes me think that they are in temporary positions. That quote makes me think that they are giving them transferable skills. Where are they gonna transfer them to? It sounds like they're going to be transferring them to another job. I mean, it sounds like they're building up skills for their resume for another company. They're just not gonna have space in Microsoft for all of these employees. They're just not. They're going to let a lot of these people go, I'm sure, and they're going to hold on to those people in those 4 locations for the customer experience centers, and I'm sure they might be hiring more people from those other locations if they're willing to move to those customer experience centers. Now, Forbes thinks that this could be signaling the end of retail. Microsoft store closures are a signal about the future of retail. I don't quite know what they mean by that. I read through the whole article, and it doesn't make sense to me that they're saying that retail is going to be a different beast in the future. Yes, I think it is going to definitely be skewing more online, but I think there's still so many people that shop in stores. Well, maybe not right now, but most people like to go to a brick and mortar store when there isn't a disease going around. They like to see the product before they buy it in person. And that's also why I said, like, the Apple Store makes sense because they make so many products that when you see it up close and you have a personalized salesman, it makes sense. It's a great way to sell your product. And I think that most retail locations are going to be like that, especially the big ones like Target, Best Buy, Walmart. I mean, a lot of those places, 2 of those places went from just electronics and other stuff to also including grocery. So Walmart's got a grocery store in it, and Targets usually have grocery stores in it. I don't know if there's like a specific type of Target. It might be a super Target and a super Walmart. I don't know the differentiating name that determines whether or not there's a grocery store in it. But the fact that they have adapted to including those in it kind of shows, yes, we are shifting most places to online if they aren't groceries, because groceries you still need to buy in the store. It's a lot more difficult to ship fruits and vegetables and stuff directly to the customer. But even with that more shift to online, even with these websites getting better, with the different shipping options being better, with all these different things that are improving on their online storefronts, I still feel that retail is going to exist for a lot of things. I mean, shoes. Buying shoes online is nearly impossible. People do it, don't get me wrong, but it seems like different companies have different sizes. So unless you've bought from that company before, you most likely want to try on that shoe. And also, seeing shoes in person as opposed to online, it's completely different. Looking at how you look in the mirror, looking at how it looks on your feet, walking around in them, seeing how comfortable they are all different builds. All of these types of things, including clothing. There's a lot of different clothing brands that people want to go to the store, the actual physical store, to try things on. And that's the future. The future is still going to be both. Yes, there's still going to be a bunch of stuff online, but there's also going to be that brick and mortar storefront. And Microsoft, I think, is just a special case. I think that I don't see Apple doing this. Apple, I keep saying Apple because it's the main comparison I can draw between the two companies. They're both computer tech companies. They both have their own used to have their own retail establishments. But like I said, with Apple, they have their own products. That is the difference. Microsoft doesn't have to. They don't, what are they going to showcase? Their Surface? That's it? An Xbox? This is an Xbox. They don't have a Windows phone anymore. Windows phones are dead. They tried it, and even when they tried it, it wasn't made by Microsoft. It was made by Nokia, which I think was the misstep right there. They don't have Zune anymore because I don't know what happened with Zune. I think the iPod just smothered it in its sleep. I mean, I liked some of the concepts on it, but I don't think it I don't know, it just didn't draw people in like the iPod. It wasn't as sleek, it wasn't as nice looking, and the Microsoft Zune whatever storefront was not as good. But this isn't a video about the Zune. I could do a whole video about that for sure. But overall, Microsoft has always specialized in just a few products while also providing their digital operating system on almost everything else. They're making money hand over fist without having to actually have stores. And if there are other companies like that, I'm sure they'll do that too. But I can't think of any off the top of my head that are mainly digital but also have a brick and mortar location. So all in all, I don't see this dramatically being a sign of the future. I feel for the retail employees of this Microsoft store. Like I said, I am just kind of reading into this quote. They could find a way to hire these people on for only online sales, but I think that's going to be a lot of people, and that's going to be, I don't know. I don't know if that's sustainable to hire that many people from those stores just to do online training and stuff like that. That seems like a bit of overkill when it comes to employees. I mean, Microsoft can obviously afford it, but do they want to take on that sort of expenditure? I don't see that happening, and that's why they're talking about transferable skills. Maybe they'll transfer some of these people to other bigger offices and help them move up the chain, but I feel like most of these people are going to be cut, and hopefully those skills are transferable and they find a better job, or another job rather, somewhere else. I don't know. It could be fine working at a Microsoft store. I don't know. I've heard working in an Apple store is not that bad. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Do you guys think that this really is a sign of the times, a big shift in the retail future and the experience of what retail will be like in the future? There'll just be a couple experience stores, like Best Buy will close all of its locations and have select experience stores where you can look at the Blu-rays and computer areas up front before buying. I don't know. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me for places like that to move to only online. I think they need that retail brick and mortar store still. Of course, like the video if you guys liked it, subscribe for more content, and as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys. This really is a delicious beer. I wish Stone gave you like a flavor profile. They just don't. Kinda gotta wing it. But yeah, I decided to wear the tie because I knew it would upset a lot of people. And yeah, it's not a real tie. It's not a clip-on tie. It's a zip-up tie. I've never seen anything like it. It's really strange. Oh, uh-oh. Why is it? It feels like it's stuck. Well, that's not cool. Oh, there we go. Oh, Jesus. Because zippers sometimes get stuck. I think that's kind of a risk that you got to take with this thing. Look at that. It's got a zipper on it. It's kind of dope. I like it a lot. I know it's not as classy as a normal tie, but, you know, I'm not as classy as a normal tie either.